Welcome, my friends. This is Speaking with Judgment, hosted by Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge. Great to have you. Great Thursday to you all. Thank you for tuning in and checking out the content. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok. All right, let's talk baseball because the guy everybody was talking about after Monday night was Seattle catcher Cal Raleigh. Fun story of baseball has been what Cal Raleigh has done so far this season. There hasn't been a time this season that he hasn't brought us a good story or an interesting lead. What a season he's having for the Seattle Mariners. And nobody is really talking about him, right? But you've seen the highlights, the crazy amount of home runs he has hit before the All-Star break. I mean, it's pretty incredible stuff. I could sit and watch him send baseballs over the wall for an hour. I'm a fan of the long ball, so maybe that's why. But the point here is Raleigh is doing things no catcher has done in the history of the sport. And here's a reminder that there are stars in other cities outside of Los Angeles and New York. You're looking at one in Seattle, Cal Raleigh. The year has been amazing for him. Let's hear it for Cal Raleigh, the great Seattle Mariners catcher who just hits bums for a living, was sensational Monday night in the home run derby. I mean, I don't think most casuals realize how good this guy is. As someone who watches a lot of baseball, the average person still don't know much about him. This feels big for baseball to know that stars exist in this game besides Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. And, listen, this year, even though I feel the stars not named Ohtani or Judge gets constantly overlooked, we suddenly have a player who represents the Mariners garnering national attention. Tongue twisters. Fantastic player. It was on display in the home run derby. It feels to me somewhere a lot of people are enamored with his power from both sides of the plate, as with his defensive attributes. Those who follow this sport closely, and we've been understanding that this is a player who can be transcendent. This is one of the more interesting and popular names in baseball right now. You cannot possibly be having the season he is and not be brought up in the same sentence as Ohtani and Judge. No question, the biggest sports story this summer should be Cal Raleigh's historic home run chase. And with that being the case, you have to put him on the MVP list. It's an award that doesn't always go to a big-time player on the sexiest MLB team with the better record and the bigger market. And although I feel like popularity can a lot of times be a byproduct of individual greatness, it's genuinely not considered, or shouldn't be anyway, the primary or sole measure of greatness. And no matter what happens the rest of the way, what Cal Raleigh has achieved this year, what his journey has been like, will always be remembered as the defining story of baseball in 2025. Greatest offensive season for a catcher. Voter fatigue will not exist for Aaron Judge because he's a Yankee and he's having a historic season. And of course, Judge's numbers are better. But you look at the historic season Raleigh is having, the national media, baseball analysts, folks in general are talking about Aaron Judge, but we need to have a serious conversation about Raleigh being the All-Star MVP, the AL MVP. He's closing the gap on Aaron Judge for MVP consideration. The race is close. We can't just crown Aaron Judge the AL MVP by just looking at his numbers or the fact he wears a pinstripe jersey. I know he's having a really good year, but Raleigh is right there with him. The position Raleigh plays is not the most glamorous. Catcher, to me, is the most unappreciated position in baseball. He's the best defensive catcher in all of baseball, but doesn't get a lot of credit for it. I love the nickname. Funny, but cool. The Big Dumper. He's a switch hitter. By September 1st, it's very possible he'll have more home runs than any catcher ever had. The unfortunate thing for him is that he's in the era of Ohtani and Judge, two players who play in big markets in major cities, as the Big Dumper plays in Seattle, smaller market, an American League team that has literally literally won anything in the last 20 years. The years of failure this franchise has had is hard to fathom. They're one of those teams that don't have a rich history, never ever been to the World Series. So he's on a team that doesn't win much of anything from an individual standpoint, though. And as much as Judge is having another one of a kind season, Raleigh has been just as good. I get that he's had really good moments on a Seattle team and not a New York team, but you can't really downplay his impact with the Mariners. He wins the home run derby, becomes the first catcher to ever do so. Raleigh is now the fourth player to win the home run derby while leading the majors in home runs with 38, joining Ken Griffey Jr. and Mark McGwire, who did it in the 90s, and Aaron Judge, who did it in 2017. What Raleigh brings to the plate, it's fear. You know, that he is a game changer, a slugger, a power hitter. I'm high on him. And this season particularly is headlined by Raleigh's rapid ascendancy. I do believe he's a rising star we marvel at all of a sudden because of what's on display. It's really amazing to watch. I'm amazed with what he can do on both sides of the dish. I don't know where you rank him or who you think are the top 5 players in baseball right now, but Raleigh is one of them. If he's not on your list right now, then I would toss it in the trash and create a new one. I'm willing to admit he's my favorite to win MVP. That's where this also becomes interesting because a lot of people, not only the casuals, would tell you it's Aaron Judge for MVP. It's debatable. You kind of have to take everything Raleigh is doing into account. I guess it could go either way with the years both of them are having. Man, Cal Raleigh is killing it right now. Chasing history, on pace for 65 home runs, and could write his own page in baseball's history books. That, to me, is what gives him a slight edge in the MVP race. Come on. He's on top of the baseball world right now. I'm already saying his performance has placed him among the best catchers in baseball. And after the home run derby, he's finally made it big time, showcasing his talent for everybody to see it. I'm not going to say he's the best Mariner of all time or anything like that. That would be disrespecting the greats who did it before him. Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, Randy Johnson, and those guys. But he's definitely on his way. He's up there just after one sensational season. Right now, there's no question that he is the most beloved Mariner. Hands down. No matter what. We cannot overlook his home runs. His power surge didn't come out of nowhere because if you look up his stats from last year, you realize he hit 34 home runs, which was his previous career high. In and around all that, I believe he's a great hitter, and right now he's your American League MVP. So if we're talking about the MVP, he's the odds-on favorite. It can't be any other way. If things ended today, I think he's clearly made a strong case for the award. And looking at the standings, the Mariners are currently sitting 5 games back of the Astros. They currently hold a wild card spot in the American League. If they reach the playoffs, Raleigh will be remembered for an insane summer of individual greatness. I'm paying attention because, my goodness, this guy is having a hell of a year, and now I'm curious to see if he can do what he's doing around this time next year. I'm sure if anybody is looking at this, and real baseball fans will say, wow, I gotta acknowledge this. I cannot acknowledge this. There's no era in time in history where you saw a catcher have this kind of year he's having. I was fortunate to grow up in an era when Mike Piazza was playing. He had 5 great seasons with the Dodgers from 1993 to 97. And in each of those years, he averaged over 30 home runs and 100 RBIs from the top of my head. Here's the thing, though. Raleigh is on pace to hit more home runs in his first 5 seasons than any catcher in MLB history. Piazza currently holds the record. I'm telling you, Raleigh is like fish grease right now. Nothing is hotter than this guy. And with all the power hitting catchers of the past, no Derby winner, then Cal Raleigh comes along and wins it. Crazy. And I have to say, I was moved to tears when I saw it, when I saw his dad pitching to him. What a moment it must have been when Cal Raleigh is up there swinging and his dad is throwing him pitches and his younger brother is catching him. I love seeing his family interact and have a part in that. It was beautiful. I got emotional thinking about all those times when my dad would pitch to me in the backyard, or when we would play catch. We built an unbreakable bond. And when I saw that, I was fighting back tears. Great supportive family. That was cool to see. Everyone is just rooting for one another. There's nothing like that father and son love. The season resumes on Friday, and Raleigh will continue his pursuit of history. He's been almost like a Bob Ross painting, where there's so much perfection, they're just happy moments. I feel like the thing for him now is to show that he's more than just a surprise story. Do what you've been doing and do it again next year. Prove it's not a fluke. That's one of the things I will be watching, and I will say he's too great of a hitter. So I think the power surge continues for Raleigh when the season resumes. It's hard for me not to embrace this. It's a great story. It's been wonderful to watch. I think it's great for the sport. The second half will tell a lot about the Seattle Mariners. All right, everybody, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. I think that is the greatest baseball story this season to be told, and I just wanted to give you guys my thought on it. I really like Cal Raleigh. I like what we're seeing, and I hope that we get a chance to witness history. He has a chance to make history, and it's just a wonderful story. It really is. All right, everybody, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.